Hola, what's up? What's good? How fine now? How you day? Welcome to the random session. This is the home of good vibe. Alrighty guys, welcome to the random session, another episode of the random session. And I know if you're watching, if you're listening, you just might not know yet, but if you're watching, something's most likely very off in the setting. Is because Ranty Mars is not here. She had something to attend to, but Barack gas remain. Soja go, Soja come. Alright, I'm not going to stress too much because I need to behave like a rich man today on the show. It's fine. You know, this generation, they press phone and they are rich men. You can't say much. I have 2 rich men on each side. I feel like Jesus right now. Who's going to be the thief and who's going to be... who will sit with me in heaven? But yeah, on my left side, which is your right side, I have Raphael Harrison.
Hi guys.
It's not a newcomer.
Welcome to my YouTube channel. Oh sorry. Welcome to our YouTube channel. It's really nice to be back here. It's really nice to be back here. I know you guys have missed me. You've missed my voice. You've missed my face. I missed you guys too. And it's really
they
nice.
cannot have missed your face because as of the last time you were on random session, we were still very...
Don't cut it. Nobody you go tell me what to talk.
No vex boss. Anyways, let's move on to the next person on my right, which is your left, ladies and gentlemen. This is...
my name is Damlari Ajomali.
Yeah.
I'm a real estate... I do real estate business. Let's just say it like that. This is my first time on.
He's a shy guy.
I'm not shy. I'm just getting to know how it works here.
Okay. Yeah. So let me state the rules. Rule number 1: there are no rules on the random session, and be as mad as you want, be as calm as you want. Today we're talking about delayed gratification, and I felt like there was no other person or there were no other people that would do the amount of justice that I want to be done to this particular topic than these guys. They run businesses in Lagos. Now they're not small businesses, they run big businesses in Lagos. They're both big guys, and it's an honor to actually be in the same studio, same session with them. So we are going to tear apart delayed gratification, and it just makes me remember the last time we had the podcast where we did You Are Enough part 1 and then You Are Enough Pro Max, and it was a really, really amazing time where we broke tables. We broke our own tables. We stood on the tables and then we carried saw and just cut it, destroyed it.
Yama.
And that's what we're gonna do today again. So I'm getting ready to be entered, not that one that you're thinking about.
I got.
So guys, first thing I want to do is, what does delayed gratification mean to you, Raphael?
I would like check online. I don't go embarrass myself.
It's allowed. No, layman. Just
so for me, delayed gratification is just the ability to put forward a certain pleasure. It doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but to put forward a certain pleasure or a certain pleasure that you can have now for a long-term thing. I beg, this camera thing is not working for me.
Thank you.
So it's just the ability to be able to put off certain things you would love to do, you would enjoy doing, only for a long-term, more satisfying reward. And honestly, yeah, it's really hard to do. I mean, it could be sleep. Let's not even go far. It could be sleep to read for an exam, right? Put off your sleep. You're going to be satisfied. You're going to derive pleasure. You're going to rest. You're going to wake up refreshed, right? If you sleep instead of reading for the exam, right? But you have to delay that gratification. What the normal pleasure you would get from doing that thing at that time for something greater. Because if you fail the exam, you no go graduate. If you no graduate, you no go get good job. If you don't get good job, your shoe no go do cocoa. Your shoe no go do cocoa. Sapa go catch you. And Sapa.
Is it no? But like, yes, I like the way you use something as simple as sleep to really just justify the point. So Damlar, what in your own words would you say delayed gratification is?
Sorry, when I see camera, I like to smile.
I didn't also, when you see Mike, you have to increase your voice. Too,
okay. So
let's
I'm in a learning process.
Yeah.
So to gratification, for me, it goes two ways: short-term denial for long-term greater good of the long term. But most times, everybody talks about gratification as pleasure, and the fact that you have to is always related to pleasure. But sometimes, even the long term that you are sacrificing for might not be also pleasure. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Why I'm saying this is I'm taking it. I like to use biblical stories for my example. So I'm taking an example from the Bible, and I'm using Jesus Christ as an example.
Okay.
Sacrificing the power he had and the fact that he didn't need the power he had on earth for the greater good. So let's take it like this: when Judas sold him out, and he betrayed him with a kiss. At that point, Peter caught somebody's ear, if I can remember. At that point, Jesus had the power to make everybody in that place die or disappear. But he was saying that the will of the Father has to be done.
Yeah.
And the will of the Father was that he has to die and resurrect. And in that matter, it's not pleasurable. Do you understand? So yeah, in as much as I agree as short term to long term, I just feel like delayed gratification has a lot to do with what you feel or what you think. It's up to you to say this is what I'm.
So would you say that delayed gratification is letting go of the temptation of now with the hope of something greater, of
I think
greater reward?
That's a better explanation for me.
Letting go of it. Of a certain temptation.
So
because it doesn't have to be a good thing.
It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have. So it's not a matter of I'm suffering now to enjoy
it. It might just be I'm constraining myself now.
Thank you.
So like Jesus' case is that the case that you mentioned. If he had made all of them disappear, the greater good would not. Okay, let me use a normal example. Say I was going for a meeting and I don't have a car, right? And the bus driver insults me on my change that's 20 naira. I have the temptation to insult him back or probably engage him in a fight, right? Probably they don't know where I'm going, so I can constrain myself, delay the gratification of insulting him back or engaging in a fight, because you know what men go do you. They will stain your white so that nobody will stain my white, or so that I will not even be late. I might be able to beat him, so I will not be late for that engagement.
Nice. Thank you very much for at least breaking it down for people like me that did not, were not so worded in that. But according to the dictionary meaning, and I like the fact that you brought up that thing where you said sometimes it's not just about pleasure, because it says like delayed gratification is the resistance to the temptation of an immediate pleasure in the hope of obtaining a valuable and long-lasting reward in the long term. So I think the cocoa of what I can draw from what both of you have said is it's not just pleasure. Whatever you're going to delay for, it's a reward at the end of the day. So it's just saying no at that time for a greater good, even if that greater good might not at the end of the day be for you or pleasure you, it might be for others. I mean, if I'm going to make examples, I would say most of our parents are doing or have done delayed gratification in terms of taking care of us, providing for us, just for us, because at the end of the day we can decide to say, shit, I'm not going to take care of my parents. I just want to be good by myself. So yes, I'm glad that we're able to establish that fact. Now I'm going to bring it into our everyday lives, because that's like the cocoa for me. But the first thing I'll first do is the examples of delayed gratification. And the most important thing for me, I was so happy when I saw it, is food. As minor as it might seem, I was really surprised when I saw it on Google as an example of delayed gratification. I mean, there is sexual pleasure, there are all those other things, there's money, but let's deal with food. Do you think it's an important trait or character to have in respect to having a trained mindset of delayed gratification towards eating anyhow, or eating, let me not say anyhow, because to what me I might say as anyhow might just be normal eating to anybody?
Let Damnary go first.
Okay, so Damnary.
So I like the fact that you use the word discipline. You are seeing it as food, but the act is what's most important, and the act which is discipline. So if you can do it for food, you can basically apply that same act to other things. And when it comes to food, even if you know chop, even if you chop, you will be what you will be. Well, that's my own idea of, even if you
I
know,
feel like you go die.
that's
If you
point.
no chop.
If you no chop, you no go die. If you chop, if you go die, you go die. Do you understand? Do you understand? Do you understand?
Because
But
people if it kill you.
so
Salvation
the take home for me when it comes to that is discipline. Because if you look at it, why do we fast? Some people say we fast because you want to go. It's easier way to ask God. Yes, I agree. But if God no go answer you, you no go answer you. Now grace you want chop. If you go chop grace, you go chop grace. If you no go chop grace, you no go chop grace.
You go chop disgrace.
But me I no go chop
Adult
grace.
session 2022.
So
Mayo said that.
So for me, Sha, is the discipline that matters, of the fact that I can say I want to eat this, I don't want to eat this, and from my own standpoint of what makes me do what I do. For example, I believe in the leading of the Holy Spirit. There are certain times that I won't lie, like yesterday night. So I went for a meeting last night and I got back late around 10, so I couldn't go back to the island. I had to go and be with my friend at Bagadaim on the mainland, and I had this golden moon that I had in his cupboard for days, but because I've been fasting for the past 3-4 days, I could not eat it. So as I go home last night, I was like, what we eat? I said, I'm going to chop spaghetti now. I just open cupboard, I see the golden moon. I see Holy Spirit. Hey, my mind was saying, don't eat it, my go need it, just eat spaghetti. And my brother, I told myself that God, if not sin, count down. At this one, I'll go chop him. So my point is, at some point, I think it's the act that matters and how much you can discipline yourself to say no, even if it's food, even if it's sexual pleasure, even if it's money. The act is more important than what you actually want, because at the end of the day, like I always say, delayed gratification has not killed anybody before. It will always help you. It's always for your benefit.
But okay, thank you for stating that, Rafa. Just before we come to you, that line, delayed gratification has not killed anybody before. Some people disagree with that line of thought or that school of thought. So I want to ask a question that will lead us into that place. Do you think we have a problem of delayed gratification in our generation?
Okay, so I'm just going to tie it up. So, and I like this kind of discussion because one thing I have learned is how that perspective matters, right? So he spoke from his perspective that if he was not here, I probably not spoken from. But I'm going to speak from a different perspective as regards food. The thing about delayed gratification sometimes is not even whether you eat or whether you do not eat. It's what you eat or what you do not eat. Right? And a lot of times it probably has a long-term effect on your health and all of that brouhaha. I'm not here to do nutrition, this thing. I'm just saying that the concept of delayed gratification is a concept of being futuristic in your worldview. Because at every single time, there is something you would rather be doing, there is something you would rather have, there's something you would rather it works out this way, that if you do, it's so, you know, we look at it as though if we do some things like what we're saying, it's going to be bad. Someone says that, oh, you have the money to buy a new phone, instead of it, you put it in your business, right? If you buy the new phone, guy, you will still enjoy it. You will still take all the good pictures. You will still take all the memories. Your business might still blow. The difference might be that it might take a longer time in getting the money, right? That you would use to invest in the business. Doesn't mean that your business will not blow.
Yes.
So a lot of times, delayed gratification is what they taught us in economics as for opportunity forgone. It's opportunity forgone, and if we look at it, we would realize how that it's not really a concept of, as much as it is sacrifice, it's not really a concept, it's not really a talk of deep sacrifice, because on the long run, the truth of the matter is we established something earlier where we said what you're delaying your gratification from might not be for you, it might be for others. But let's be honest, our parents raising us, if we decide not to take care of them, yes, something has been good, but there is a joy that now my son be that. So, right, Jesus that we mentioned, what he delayed for was so that he would have us, right? On the long run, the death on the cross was not pleasurable. But look at the fact that he is the name that is above all names. The name is the efficacy of the name does us more good, because whether we accept him or we don't accept him, he is still God.
Yes.
Right? We are enjoying it, but let's also realize that he is now at the apex of this thing. So our generation, the problem we have with delayed gratification is not necessarily with the word delayed gratification or the concept of delayed gratification, is that we are very myopic in our worldview. We don't know how to see beyond ourselves. We don't know how to see beyond the immediate. Right? And it's not in just delayed gratification, it's even in relationships. Am I the only one that has noticed this whole scissors effect thing?
Cut it.
At the beginning of the year, if you are this thing, I'm cutting you off. They're always cutting somebody off, right? Because we don't know how to see. It might not be useful to you now, doesn't mean it's not useful to you in the next year.
How do you even validate that a person is not being useful at that point?
Do you know how many people have looked down on you while you were coming up? Because see, you know, there was a word my mother spoke to me one time, and I will never forget it till I die. She said, you can tell the full extent by which a mango tree would reach after it has sprouted, like after it has become a tree. She says you can never tell the extent a mango seed can go. Because that mango seed, you will plant it, it will become a tree. You probably say that normal mango trees don't grow past 30 feet. I don't know what that is, right? But you don't know how many fruits it's going to have, and how many fruits, of course, for every fruit there's a seed, and how many trees those seeds will form. So for a seed, you don't know the capacity. For a fully grown tree, you can almost tell the capacity. So when we look at people, relationships, money, the money you can use to get this phone, you don't know how much it can give you. So the problem with delayed gratification that I see is not a problem with sacrifice, more than it's a problem with sight. Your sightedness, how far can you see? Because I feel that if people see right, they would act right. If people see right, they will do right. And that's the whole concept of faith. And I'm not going to do a sermon, but Jesus said, as the serpent in the wilderness was lifted up, and those who looked on it, he now said that the same way those who believe on me. So he used looking and believing. That means your sightedness is your believing, and that's why it says looking away unto Jesus, the author. Because what you look at long enough, you will believe, and what you believe, you will become. So the problem we have is sightedness. How far can you see? So, and that's why I don't talk about the concept of is a poor guy, is not a rich guy.
So let me break it down to people that, people like me. I don't know, I like to people like me. In essence, you're saying the issue with delayed gratification in our generation is the issue of short-sightedness. Basically, that's
there's
the
no
point.
glasses to cure it.
All right. So you want to say something?
Yeah, very close to what he's saying when it comes to in our generation. So for me, in our generation, not really different from what he's saying, but in our generation, there's something about comparison that cannot make you act or cannot make you possess the quality of delayed gratification. Do you understand? So in that manner, for me, it goes to those where you are comparing yourself to your friends. For example, the time your friend needs a MacBook is different from when you need a MacBook. You guys are in two different schools. Your own school is book and paper and Bible. Your friend's book is MacBook and iPhone. And you feel that because you guys are friends, you guys see when you get home and all that, you also need a MacBook and iPhone. Even when Momsi has said that at some point you would also use it because you would also need it. So it goes to delayed gratification in the sense of you wait most times for what you need, not what you want. Do you understand? But I wrote something on I told you guys I just joined Twitter yesterday now. One of my first tweets.
Please give them your Twitter handle.
I started with Dami Ore at Jomali.
One word. Dami Ore Ajomari. Please
So
follow him.
I was watching a message today, and what struck me so much in that message was, it was a story of Judas. I really love what I heard. Story of Judas. He said that he sold Jesus Christ for 30 pieces of silver because he wanted money. That Christ could give you 300 pieces of silver. Do you understand? That person you are following, he can give you everything. He can give you more. 30 pieces of silver. 1, he did not use that money for anything. 2, he did not save him from suicide. Do you understand? 3, the money he didn't solve any problem in his life. I don't know if you understand me. That 30 pieces of silver, and he sacrificed his love. He sacrificed Jesus Christ for just that thing. Because if he had waited maybe a day to think about it, he might not have done it, and he will still have that money. But he did all that, sacrificed all that for what he wanted. But at the end of the day, I realized that he sold Christ for what he wanted,
not what he needed.
No, apart from what he needed. At the end of the day, is that what he really wants?
Yeah.
Is that what he really needs? Do you understand? Is that what he really needs?
Wow.
Then look at the other disciples at the end of the day. Peter, known as the bedrock of the church. Look at every other disciple. Look at how their life turned out. It was the only one that committed suicide. 30 pieces of shekel. If we even use that money, the money can finish that day. Do you understand me? So a lot of us in this generation, I just feel like because of the way we grow up, the things that are around us, fear of missing out, things like that make us sacrifice the wrong things. So I'm trying to find the right words to explain this thing because it's in my head, and I pray a lot of people understand that you have to find yourself and be able to understand that this is how I ought to live, this is how I ought to think, this is how I ought to be. Because the moment you are seeing another person's picture, there's already a problem of how you see yourself.
You know, that's why I'll always be grateful to Raphael for You Are Enough, because every topic that we've spoken about, no matter how far that topic might seem, it still comes back to who they validate you.
Yeah.
Where do you get your validation from? Because the moment you, like Damlara said, the moment you see yourself, know your process, it will be difficult to follow somebody else's pattern. Now, I know we have a lot to say. That's why I said this is going to be broken down. But I have one major question that I want to ask, which I want us to, we've spoken in like the biggest forms now. I want us to bring it to everyday life. Do you think, how do you differentiate, or how do you draw the line between delayed gratification and being selfish to yourself?
Okay, sorry. I want to say something so I don't lose my train of thought. So he said something about the concept of comparison, and that thing really blew my mind, because it's somewhere I've been where it just feels like all your friends are going ahead. But you see, the truth of the matter is, you can see results, you cannot see process.
People even clap for results.
Nobody
claps for process.
No matter how much, right, I tell you my story, you cannot see my process. Let me explain. You can only explain. You never know what happened to the seed while it was in the ground. You only know when it started to shoot out. You never know how much nutrient it needed, or how much sunlight it needed for it to become that tree. You are just happy whenever it gives you fruit, right? And if you don't understand the process, you cannot understand why. You cannot understand. You can value the results. You can't understand the results. So Damilare probably has gone through a whole lot of things, right? And because he has a MacBook, now I want a MacBook. Let me use this example, right? Whereas a MacBook is not a luxury for him, or a MacBook might even be a luxury for him, but if he buys it, for example, it doesn't shake his account.
Yeah.
But if I buy it,
it does.
No, I really want us to touch on.
Okay, so that's where I'm going. So the thing about it is, I would normally have been the one to be doing the scripture thing, but I'm going to leave it for Damilare today. Can we give a round of applause to Damilare? Right, and I'm going to use economics, right? And these things I'm going to say would be things that I've learned from Damilare. But he's the pastor. He has decided to leave the business for me and do ministry. We've exchanged roles, guys. We've exchanged roles. So, I remember Damilare would say, we want to get something, and you'll be like, see, it's not about why other people need this. We need this thing. Because of the kind of job, we need this thing. See, the truth of the matter is, it is in that word, need. It's in that word, need. A lot of people, the reasons they do things is not from a place of need. It's from a place of want. It's from a place of how it makes other people feel. It's in the way of how it makes other people perceive me. And that perceive me can be a gray area because sometimes you need the perception. Right? Sometimes you need the perception. But a lot of times, who are you trying to validate? Who are you trying to gain validation from? Right? Who are you trying to impress? Right? Who are you trying to impress? And a lot of times it's not external. When we say who, people think it's external. Sometimes it's you. I was having a discussion with Mr. Roy, and
sometimes you're trying to impress yourself.
Yes.
I was having a discussion with Mr. Roy, and he said something to me, right? And I said to him, I said, Mr. Roy, this thing you said, the easiest person to lie to in this world is yourself.
Yeah.
And we have lost the virtue of sincerity as a generation.
Sorry to pause you. In case you don't understand, so I like to tell people, I like to dwell on that topic. So people don't understand when people talk about lie. A lie might seem harmless, but should I tell you the honest truth? You can tell yourself a lie so much it begins to become your truth.
Yes.
So that's why I just wanted to explain why that lie.
Sorry to break you. You were saying something about you telling yourself the truth. So when it comes to that, I've been trying to remember these things. So as you use that word, I remember that in delayed gratification, one of the problems we also have as human beings is that you have suffered so much to believe that you have to get some particular thing. So when delayed gratification processes come, you will delete it because you feel like, for example, now while growing up, your parents didn't have a car. They didn't, you guys were always, for like me now, my parents used the car for about 10 years. Me and my siblings, when they bought the car, we could sit down like at the back and there'll be a lot of space. But by the time it was 10 years, me and my sister cannot sit at the back again. The car don't shrink, everything don't hold. So at some point, I'm looking like, I'm telling you, do serious things, thinking that is the right thing to do. But the point is, if you are going through the process God wants you to go through, car was not even in the question. But because you feel like I've suffered so much for this thing, it's what I need. And at that point, a lot of times our spirit is dead. It's just the flesh that is talking. And when somebody is advising you on delayed gratification at that point, I'm telling you, my brother, you cannot listen.
You will not. It's not you cannot, you will not. Even if you hear, you cannot.
I understand where you're coming from, but I'm also trying to place myself in other people's shoe now that will ask the same question. But how do I aside from that need, because even, let's be honest, there are needs that can be delayed.
Yes.
So how do you, because the honest truth is I can tell for a fact that there are people that have taken delayed gratification so much that it begins to be like they are selfish to themselves. Because I've heard of stories where people have the money to take care of themselves, but they feel like, why?
Okay, sorry to break up, Rafa. So that brings us back to the basic. I won't lie to you, in this life, there are basic things. Take from economics, we tell you there are basic things of life. In the Bible, there are basic things. In life, there are basic things everyone should have. No lies. You should have a house to stay, have a clothes to wear, be able to eat. There are basic things that you know that these things are not luxury. So to an extent, if the basic things of life, you have the capacity to have it, and you are still denying yourself of it, then there's a problem.
So can we just, I know it might sound weird, but can we just highlight those basic things that you think?
Okay, so I think before we do that, I'm going to buttress this point, right? The thing about delayed gratification and how it, first off, I believe that one of the first things you should ask yourself is the why question. I read a book in 2019, and I would ask everybody to read it. Start with why. For everything that you want to do, start with the why. There is a mental model. So you should also read up on mental models. There's a mental model called the principle of the first principle. What is the first principle? Is that everything can be broken down to the first principle, right? Everything, just what he was just saying, going back to the basics. Everything can be derived from the first principles, right? And in the first principles, the question that most people, I read a book, Mastery, by Robert Greene. You should check that book. In Mastery, Robert Greene started to talk about people like Picasso and Einstein, and how that we see them as geniuses, but we don't know how long they ask the question of why. So the first question is why. And it's not why am I getting the new iPhone. It's not why am I buying this food. That's not the right. The first question is, why am I here? Why am I even doing anything? Why am I under the pressure to do this thing? Because a lot of times the reason why you want to do something is, if you were to remove the pressure or the time constraint attached to that thing, you realize that it doesn't look like I'm under any pressure. So I want to get a phone, I have the money, but I feel like if I don't get this phone now, right? So the question is first, why? If you can ask why, because basic needs, if we say house, right? I can tell you that if I buy a house, what if the house burn? So let me just have two. Right.
Valid point.
So if one born, I go move to the other one. You tell me that having clothes, how many clothes is too much to have?
Now we're getting to my point.
How many clothes is too much to have?
What is
for example,
the line of
let me use Damilare as an example. So Damilare, I was telling Damilare that, guy, if we get money, I just want to change my wardrobe. Damilare said, see, calm down. You cannot wear all the things that you're talking about. Why not do it like this? Get 2 pieces of, okay, you want a loafer, get 2 pieces, black, brown. So last after he listed it was 6 pairs of shoes, right? He said, see, after 3 months or 6 months, when you've won this one, you can add to it or you can give out some. And it's not a poverty mentality, because the truth of the matter is, we have seen people that have a lot, and the question is, you have a whole room full of shoes, how many do you actually wear? And I don't have a poverty. If you think I have, men, you go be for you. Right? People park several cars in their compound. They are not driving it, so why are you getting the extra? And I'm not the person that will say you should go and suffer money to go and feed the poor, right? I feel like the poor, and you giving money to the poor, has its place. But that's not even what we're talking about. We're not talking about your philanthropic needs. We're talking about How the Rich Thinks. Is another book you should read. We realize that the truly rich people, right, have grown wealth by this thing we're discussing, delayed gratification. Yeah. I was reading about Elon. Fact. And he did not buy a new car.
Fact.
For a long time, not because he didn't have the money. He sold PayPal, and after selling PayPal, he was still living in his office, not because he couldn't get this thing. But the question starts with why. Why did I start the business? If the reason I started the business was to impress Damilare, I was talking to an old time friend, and he said, see, I remember the time he bought iPhone 7 Plus for 250k. Do you know why we bought the phone? I didn't have the money. He had the money. The reason we bought the phone was so that when we go to ICM, when we want to collect girl's number, he will unlock the phone. He will give me. I will collect girl's number with iPhone 7. Right? When this is another
what phone
girl,
do you use now? Let's know how stupid you were now that you get.
When I'm done, if you don't cite another girl, we not had Palasa, that touchlight phone, because there was a mentality then that if you use touchlight phone, you are really hiding your real phone. Do you understand? Yeah. So it's not my WhatsApp number, and that's why. So we got to the point where he says, see, the day I can settle all my basic needs and help my family and do that thing, I'm the richest man. Me and Elon were on the same level. Right? I don't literally completely agree with that school of thought, but there was no longer that comparison. It says, I don't care how much money you have. No, there's no longer that comparison of who is richer. How much do you buy your this thing? We don't even get to the point where we're asking how much again. I like this thing. Where did you get it? Oh, thank you. Give me. I buy my own. The whole thing still starts with why. Why are you doing anything at all?
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut this short a little bit too. Because of timing, like I said, there's going to be a part 2 of this. But I have just one more question. Can delayed gratification be abused?
Yes.
Yes, sir. That's when it becomes selfishness.
So you agree that it can be abused?
That's when
Do you agree that?
I agree it can be abused.
First of all, abuses.
But I don't even think it will be delayed gratification again, because what are you delaying for?
Apart from that, no, some people have a point of view. So I want to.
Another thing I want to ask, that I'm just going to drop the question. We'll discuss it on the next one. Is it possible to have delayed gratification, or is there an abuse of delayed gratification in the issue of getting married?
You know why that question
I'm
was
just going to drop the question.
Because me, I'm not married.
No, that's why. So some people hold on for so long because they feel like there is better.
Okay, so
if not that one, I'm me.
So
that was for next week.
Yes,
but I would like to chip in because you see that marriage matter better. It's very.
So because of time, we will just call it a day. But please,
you ask a question first.
Yeah.
I said we're going to end with a question.
No. Oh, you asked a question before.
Is it self? When is
Which
it
one?
abuse?
Okay, so please, you have 1 minute each to do that.
Let's into that.
Okay, so my
just
own
1
for
minute.
abuse is very. The example I'll give is a family man. You took the responsibility to marry. You took the responsibility to marry. You took the responsibility to say, I want to give out my first, second, third child.
Sometimes fifth.
Sixth and eighth.
Fine. You are feeding. You are living nice. One of them now comes and say, Daddy, I'm going to school. School fees. You now say, I paid for the first child though, second child though. You have to wait for me to pay for your own. You will now explain to each other, this child though, you know when they say delayed gratification, some people have to go, brother,
so that's an abuse.
You have abused the idea of delayed gratification. See, I feel like when it comes to responsibility, and you bring in the idea of delayed gratification, responsibility in terms of other people are involved that you are responsible for. You now come up with the argument of delayed gratification. There is a problem. One prayer I always pray is that God, don't let me ever tell my child that I cannot afford it. I'd rather tell her it is not good for you. Do you understand? Because at a point,
you don't tell us in a female picking in one fed born.
No, I know the idea. I'm not a female child.
I know I said that was the last question, but final one. I just lost the question now.
Remember it on part 2.
Yeah, most likely. But it was something that you said that brought up that question
about family.
No, not even.
It's not good for you now.
I remember the question. We have to be very honest. In this generation, in Nigeria is very tough. I don't know wherever you're watching this or listening to this from. Nigeria is tough. As tough as it is, there are people enjoying it. But for the average person, it's tough. And everybody's working seriously hard.
Damilare cannot relate, guys.
Yeah, obviously. But like,
it's tough, very tough.
But like, youths, and I'm being honest now, youths are working seriously hard every single day. I mean, putting in the work. I'm talking about the legit one. If you are doing illegal work on your own, you're not in this discussion. But like, legitly putting in the hustle. There's this mentality. I saw a tweet last week that said, remove 20k from your salary, go and eat. Somebody now responded and said, she ain't no 20k where your 20k. but on a more serious note, how do you know when to chop life because you've tried and you have not gotten, we've defined delayed gratification and we know what it means. How do you know when to say my body needs this, or my head needs this chop life?
There is a concept called sticks and candy. Right.
1 minute, please, because we need to.
There's a concept called sticks and candy. The truth of the matter is, the challenge with delayed gratification, or using delayed gratification or abusing delayed gratification, is the concept of not being appreciative. This is what I mean. We have left the point as a generation where we celebrate milestones. So because of that, we cannot be grateful for the little increases. We want the large increase. We're not grateful for the fact that after thinking of starting this business for 10 years, I finally registered the business name. We cannot say that, although I hustled for 6 months, I finally got my first sale.
I finally got my apartment. If you are able to document, journal, and celebrate your small wins, you will be able to reward yourself commensurate to that win and not overly. Bam.
So in this place of appreciation, you get to the place where you know when to reward. And sometimes you don't reward results, you reward effort. We grew up with a system that rewards results. So the person that takes first, second, third in the class gets rewarded.
Yeah.
You are forgetting that some people stopped at this thing. Some people, and that's a whole different talk on neuroplasticity. Some people, you need to reward them that they even tried. That they try to sit for that maths exam that triggers their PTSD every time. Because that's what their mother comes to tell them every time, that because they failed maths, they are never going to amount to anything, but they still sat down for that maths exam. Who rewards that effort? Who rewards the efforts of your sleepless nights when you were reading for WAEC? Who rewards the effort that you even graduated from the university, even though your CGPA was drowning, but you still pushed forward and you graduated with a third class? At least you have a graduate certificate. Everybody feels because it's not a first class or a second class upper, you did not do anything. But do you realize that you were able to put yourself through a certain process all through for 4 years or 5 years or as much? Who gives you appreciation, credit for that thing? So if you know how to celebrate wins, you would be able to celebrate small. Sometimes I was telling him, I just came back from a retreat, not a prayer retreat, a retreat where I just went to sit down and say, see, something's wrong with my head, I need just AC, and it's not AC in my father's house.
all right, thank you so much, Ralph.
I'm not someone.
It's the first time here. I'm sure you'll be enjoying this so much.
No, you don't even have to record it too. Even that means that.
Alright, so okay, so 1 minute.
We can just be
1 minute.
talking. So, well, I accept everything Ryan, myself, Raphael has said, and but first of all, my own ideology, my own philosophies, my person with their life, the shop life.
Chop.
Damilare 2022
You
on the random session.
No, I can't. So for me, I know the way to. If I know the way to me, like milestone, bagu. I don't know where milestone go milestone. When I have the opportunity.
Like, this chop life we're talking about is not the 5K as when in restaurant.
If it's 5K, guys, it's chop life.
Beyond my power. Camera line is off, so we're gonna have to
thank you.
Bring it to a close. But to this particular camera that's still on, Damilare, any last words?
The last word, the immortal words of Jay-Z.
I don't tell you last word. That's why we dear life.
Chop life.
Chop life. Funny enough, I have a song on that on Audio Mac. It's about food, Chop Life, so you should check it out. But guys, that has been the part one of delayed gratification on the random session. And trust me, I'm super filled. I've learned a lot from Ralph. I've learned a lot from Damilare. And trust me, these same guys are going to be on part 2, and we're going to have more guys. See, the guys that are coming on that part 2,
married men,
you don't even want to know. We're going to deal with delayed gratification in reference to getting married. We're going to deal with delayed gratification in reference to having kids. We're going to deal with the delayed gratification in reference to, the things that we might not see as major things, but are actually major things. And just click the subscribe button on YouTube, click the follow button on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and stay tuned. Damilare is at Dami Ore
Ajomali
on Twitter, Instagram.
Damilare Ajomali.
Raphael,
the Fire Harrison on all social media.
On social media, I am Black Boy MCM on every social media platform. I'm trying to rebrand, just like Buja. I was saying it on the show the other day. BBMCM. Let's get this done. And the random session is at the random session on every social media platform. You can send us a mail if you'd like to promote any theme you would like to be on the podcast. You would like us to talk about a specific theme.
I run a company you trust.
Yes, please state
I run a company. We run a company you trust.
So what's the company? What does it do?
We can help you buy house. We can help you build house. We can help you buy land. We can help you make land. Like investment in real estate. Just bring your money. I'll help you.
We solve all your real estate concerns.
Any problem has to do with money, just bring it. I will solve it.
So I guess I didn't state it before. They run a company together. When I was saying they were big men, they run a company together, and it's a real estate company. You should come and do business with them. The random session is at therandomsession@gmail.com. Send us any message you would like us to deal with, and that is that this has been proudly produced or was proudly produced by Alvaro Creatives. And yes, you should come to the studio to record stuff, podcasts, radio shows, jingles, whatever it is you want to do. I love you, Folu. I don't kill me too much. I owe you lunch and dinner for a week. Peace.
You know me.